Well, welcome back to See Woman. And See Woman is an acronym that I have used to identify myself, which means Christian woman, openly ministering as a nurse. And that's me. And today I want to talk about how to balance shift work as a nurse and responsibilities as a Christian woman. How can you get to a place where you say you have a good work-life balance? For me, it seems as though I'm playing so many roles, and it's important that I have a balance. So, how can I, as a wife and as a nurse working full time doing various shifts, and as someone covering various responsibilities at church, and also as someone keeping up with the recordings on this channel, how can I find balance? And I'm sure you have a few more to add to this list, such as how do you find balance working as a mother and as a businesswoman? I mean, the list goes on. So let me ask you, are you finding it difficult to balance work and life? And if you find yourself asking the questions, how do I find balance? You know what? You're not the only one. But probably you knew that already. And if you're looking for some strategies and tips to deal with balancing shift work and other personal responsibilities, you're at the right place. My name is Janice Smith, and I'm a Christian, and I have been a registered nurse for the past 25 years. And I have also been certified as a transformational life coach because of my mission to be that person that I was looking for when I was faced with so many different life challenges that hit me face down to a point that I thought I would not make it. So, what do you think? Can you find balance in your life? I mean, some say you can, while others say there is no such thing as work-life balance. And in the context of this video, I wanted to spend time talking about how to balance shift work as a nurse and other personal responsibilities as a Christian woman. So stay tuned. I will be right back. Finding balance is one of the hardest things for us as nurses, even as we consider that we're in a job where it requires physical energy and mental energy, and you're constantly thinking, you're on your feet a lot, you're constantly on the go, and then you leave work and you come home, and some are able to relax. But for the most part, that's not always possible because now you come face to face with personal problems and personal responsibilities that I can assure you will not wait until you're rested. And that in itself can cause a lot of stress in our lives. So what do you do? It won't be easy. But here is the number one secret that I've found in Psalm 37 verse 5. Commit thy way unto the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. So you want balance? Keep that verse with you at all times. This is the ultimate strategy. Put God first. You can attain a high level of success and enjoy all the aspects of your life that mean the most to you. And I'm going to give you some other practical strategies that you can use to find the balance along with that ultimate strategy that I just gave you. So the first thing I want to talk about is plan your time. And I want to spend some time on this strategy with you because we find that when we're struggling to find balance in our life, usually a lack of time is the most common issue. Would you agree? And if you don't agree with it, let me hear in the comments what you think usually causes us to struggle with balance. So in planning your time, you want to have a plan for your week and each day. Know how you're going to spend your day before the day arrives. That way, you can make the most of your time. The more you can accomplish with your time, the more your life can be in balance. So here we're talking about time management. A very important thing is to be aware of your sleep time. You have to remember that. It's good to wake up early, and I myself am an early riser. But sometimes while I'm working a stretch of late evening shifts and find myself falling asleep way after midnight, then for those days, it's more difficult to get up early. And when I do get up early on those days, I am so tired. So I have to monitor my sleep, because once I get the rest, I will have the energy to get more accomplished. So please do the same if you find yourself doing various shifts. And if you really want to manage your time effectively and get most out of it, keep work and home separate when possible. At work, only deal with issues at work. Try your best to dispel home issues from your mind. And when at home, don't think about work issues. Think about it. When at work as a nurse, you're constantly thinking. You have people's lives in your hands, literally, based on the decisions you make. So you have to make sure that you're focused at work. And when you come to work, you need to be well rested. And there is the stress to perform on a high level, because when you're on duty, you're saving lives. It's literally a matter of life or death. And I'm not exaggerating. So let's talk about some of the things you're including when you're planning your time. Number one, what time will you set aside for God to spend time with Him in prayer and studying His Word? Matthew 6:33 says, "But seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." And as you seek God and strengthen your spirit, you're doing that self-care as well, because nourishing and strengthening your spirit goes hand in hand with self-care, because we're spiritual beings and we're being led by the Spirit. So let's talk about self-care. In self-care, routines are important, because we learn that we're creatures of habit, and a lot of research shows how important it is to have routine. So you have to schedule time for yourself. You have to schedule it, or you will miss it. And as you care for yourself, you have to manage your level of stress. And here's a suggestion that might seem difficult to try at first, but I want you to try it before ruling it out completely. Every day you should not have a full day. You should have a day that is a little bit more easy for you. So a time of refreshing. It could include family relaxing time, as well as including some laughing. Even if there's nothing to laugh about, find something. There is a time for everything. And Ecclesiastes 3 verse 4 tells you that there's a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance. So we're talking about balance. And another verse that comes to my mind is Proverbs 17:22. And it says, "A merry heart doeth good like medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones." So try laughing. It has many benefits. It releases endorphins, and endorphins reduces stress. I met a lady in her 90s, and we were talking, and she was just telling me that she just laugh for no reason sometimes. She just make herself laugh. So try it sometime. It might seem weird or silly to you, but that's what make it even better, because you're laughing at yourself for being silly. In managing your time, you have to include relationships. You need healthy relationships. So in planning your time, you want to plan for family and friends. And remember, you have to manage your time well, and also don't allow people to misuse your time. And don't be too harsh. You can tell them gently and kindly, right? Family time is such a rewarding time, but because family is dependent on the woman in the home, there can be that extra pressure to perform. And when we do it with all our might, sometimes there's a part of us that wants to be acknowledged, and sometimes it doesn't happen. And I used to get very frustrated when I'm working so hard and I feel that I'm not getting the acknowledgement. And then I think that, there's so much to do, but then spiritually, as I grow, I learn more and more that when I'm working unto God. And Colossians 3:23 says, And whatsoever he do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men. And when we do that, we know that our reward comes from God, and he gives great reward. And when you look back in verse 24, it says, knowing of the Lord that he shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for he served the Lord's Christ. So now, when I'm getting things done in the house, I'm singing and I'm listening to a sermon that I love, and I'm giving God thanks for providing the house for me and to strengthen me to take care of it and to manage it well. And this has made such a big difference now that my focus has changed. Try it. And there is so much to learn about handling the home, and it takes proper planning, and you need presence of mind. So being cool and having patience. I'm telling you, because I've been there. Some days you may find that you do not have the luxury of a cleaning day. So if you're doing your own cleaning, you may have to make every minute counts. And you're going to have to use a few minutes in a day to clean one area, and then another day other areas, depending on your work schedule. When it comes to household shopping, I find that I have a running list going. And this works very well for me. So like as something runs out or it's running low, I can just add it to the list. And as soon as I see something running low and finished, then I add it again to my list, right? And I used to wait until it's shopping time. And then I open everywhere and I see what else I need. But then sometimes I miss something. I also have a list of all the things that I buy, and I check that list to make sure that I have those in stock. So please let me know in the comments what has worked for you so far. Let us learn from each other. And there's so much to think about as the woman in the house. If you have children, children need your attention, and every age is different. With family, it's not so much about the quantity of time, but the quality. You want to be there and be present in the moment for what you're doing. Focus on the most important task. There are a lot of things you could work on each day, but there are only a few things that will make a big difference. And these tasks usually aren't the most fun, but they'll save you the most time. You can't major in the minor things if you want to be successful and have a balanced life. So plan for what is one thing that you want to achieve that day, and then do it first. I used to have a long list to do, and I would get so overwhelmed. And then I learned from a business coach one day that instead of having such a long list each day and feeling overwhelmed and getting little or nothing done, I learned that I should set 3 priority things to get done, and then the rest would be bonus, right? And then you'll keep doing that each day. And that has stuck with me ever since. So try it. Remember that it's also important to complete each task. Give yourself enough time so that you're not leaving task undone. If you only have 5 minutes, don't try to squeeze a 20-minute task in that time, because that will cause undue stress. And remember, don't procrastinate. If you're finding value from this so far, remember to hit that like button. So the second strategy that I want to talk about is to cut back on what I call the non-essentials. So how do we cut back on the non-essentials? Remember, as I said at the beginning, that when we're struggling to find balance in our life, usually a lack of time is the most common issue. So you want to take a look at how you spend time each day and each week, and then see what activities you can do without. Write them down. And if you're feeling overwhelmed with personal activities, you could delegate some of these activities. You could delegate them to your spouse if you're married, or your children if you have children. Sometimes your spouse or your children may offer help, and you may think, they won't do it the way that I want to. You know what I mean, right? But I would encourage you to have that conversation and be candid. How would you like it done? And give your reasons. Although it may not work all the time, but for most part, people are more adaptable when they understand reasons. So remember, I said it may not happen all the time, but try first before assuming it won't work. So if you don't have a spouse and if you don't have children and you're feeling overwhelmed, here is where the importance of asking for help or getting help comes in. Help can come in different forms. This could be in the form of counseling. Sometimes it really helps to talk things through with someone who has experience. And you'll find that it could be your pastor. It could be a trusted family member or a friend, a relative, or a professional counselor. So don't stay overwhelmed. Get some help. The next strategy that I want to mention is avoid wasting time. Now, consider all the ways you genuinely waste your time. Again, it might help to write it down. You'll be surprised how profound it is to see something on paper as opposed to keeping it in your head. And some of these things that waste your time might include watching TV reruns, surfing the internet, or even window shopping that some persons will do for stress relief. The more time you can find in your life to apply to the things that matter, the more balanced you can make your life. So before I get to my next point, have you subscribed to this channel as yet? Make sure to hit that red subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so that you can be the first to be notified of any new uploads. So okay, our next strategy is set your priorities. Know what balance means to you. What are the most important things in your life? If you know your priorities, you can put your time to the best possible use. Again, I will add, write it down. And I won't spend a lot of time here because you know what your priorities are and you know them better than I do. So I'm going to move on to our next strategy, which is focus on your health. So giving your health a high level of priority can help to balance everything else. So if your health is important, I know you'll find the time and energy to eat properly and to exercise. Set up a fitness routine, a walking routine, an exercise routine. It could be like a dancing exercise routine. Also, you could make a meal plan to ensure that you're eating right. Make sure to get enough sleep. I mentioned that before. And get some humor into it as well. All of these are important for your health. Your health to you is as gas to a car. It's your fuel. The car will not run on an empty gas tank. Attempting to drive a car with an empty gas tank is asking for trouble, and so is neglecting your health and expecting to function at an optimal level. So placing importance on your health can help prevent the rest of your life from getting out of control. So another strategy is to review everything that you're doing consistently. Life is dynamic. So even if you're able to create a balanced life, it won't stay that way forever. So keep your finger on the pulse of your life. Look for ways to improve. Notice when things are starting to get out of control again. A balanced life is sometimes hard to master. And when you're a young adult with family, it's hard to find time for everything. When you're older and your children have moved out, it can be a challenge to find meaning in your life. Life is always looking like a challenge to balance properly. So have reasonable expectations. There's only so much you can do. And if you're going to spend all time working, you're not going to have much family time. And on the other hand, if you want to spend every minute with your children and spouse, then other areas of your life may suffer. So you must decide for yourself what it means to have a balanced life and what works for you. Don't compare yourself to others. And don't compare to them how they're doing things. You can use them as a point of reference, but ultimately it comes back to what works for you. What are your values? So now it's time for bonus tips from other nurses, and I thought it would be a good idea to get different perspectives on how nurses create a balanced life. But to keep it simple, I just asked two nurses how they balance shift work with other responsibilities. The first nurse I spoke to, she works very well under pressure and she sees herself as a problem solver. And she said balancing was easier for her because nursing was a passion for her. And she allowed her spiritual life to guide what she did. And her focus was more on people as she found that balance. And she said in terms of her own spirituality, she believed that each person is unique and special. And then she balanced that by treating each person as if they were her own family. And in terms of her colleagues, she said, she used the term bash. She said she would never bash them, no matter how upset or annoyed she became. And she would take a moment to find out why these unusual behaviors were happening when problems arose. She was the problem solver. And she also recognized that she could be a facilitator, and she formalized that by doing a degree in guidance and counseling. And that helped her a lot. Another thing that she mentioned was that her family understood that she loved people and she would bend over backward, literally, to change a situation. The next nurse said that COVID caused her to reevaluate her life, and she realized that in everything she had to be intentional about it. And what she did, she said she started praying and seeking guidance from God, and she started finding time without even having to try too hard. She went on to say that she will make a plan some days so that nothing got missed or no one got missed. And when she's feeling overwhelmed, she said she would just stop and take time for herself. But her biggest suggestion was to be intentional and learn to enjoy everything day by day and smile even when she didn't feel like it. And as she found that balance, she was able to write a fiction children's book recently published on Amazon. I felt so proud of her. I mean, that was just so encouraging. And, I encouraged her. And so I want to encourage you just to check the link below as well and check out her book as well. We need to find balance in our life. Whenever we are out of balance, we find ourselves in trouble. It's important to keep our priorities straight and stay in balance. You have to be always working on it. Do a balance inventory and spend time with God and ask Him, how can you be in more balance? There's always something that needs to be adjusted. And that's what I call a work in progress. But if you allow God to direct your steps, as in Proverbs 3:5-6, it says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy paths. And as you practice the principles, you can develop a healthy life balance. Remember, put God first. Thank you for joining.